As I was going through the quarterly reports for my resort chain, a text popped up from my mother-in-law. Remember to pack casual clothes for the beach house this weekend. Nothing fancy, it's just family. Her usual condescending tone made me smile. If only she knew the truth. I'm Sarah Chin, 34, the owner of Sapphire Bay Resort Group. But my in-laws have no idea. They think I'm just Michael's wife who works in hospitality. I never corrected them. If they wanted to believe I was just a hotel receptionist, I let them. The truth? I built my company from scratch, turning a struggling beachfront hotel into a luxury resort empire. When I met Michael 10 years ago at a hotel management conference, I was already successful. But I liked keeping a low profile. He worked in marketing and was charming, kind, and different from his status-obsessed family. We fell in love, and I decided not to mention my wealth. I wanted them to know me for who I was. Michael agreed. Though sometimes, I noticed him squirming when his family made snide remarks about my little job. Every year, my mother-in-law, Regina, booked the most expensive house at Sapphire Bay, my flagship resort, and acted like she was treating the whole family. In reality, she was paying me. That little secret had amused me for years. But this year was different. 2 months ago, I overheard Regina and my sister-in-law, Amanda, talking at a family dinner. They didn't know I was nearby. It's time for Michael to trade up, Regina said. Jessica from his office would be perfect. Her father owns half of downtown. Sarah's sweet, but she's just not our caliber. This beach trip is our chance to show Michael the difference between class and, well, you know. I quietly stepped back, gripping the resort key card in my pocket. My name and title were printed on it. Maybe it was time for a different kind of vacation. A change in plans. On Friday, I arrived at the beach house before everyone else. I used my private road, one they didn't even know existed. My staff, who knew exactly who I was, had everything ready as I had instructed. I changed into a simple sundress, the kind Regina would call cheap, and waited. Soon they arrived in a row of luxury cars. Regina stepped out first from her Mercedes SUV, looking around like she owned the place. Michael kissed me hello, while Amanda followed behind with her husband Tom. And then there was Jessica, the woman they were trying to set up with my husband, wearing a designer swimsuit that probably cost more than Regina thought I made in a month. Sarah, dear, Regina called sweetly. Help Maria with the luggage, won't you? She gestured at their housekeeper, struggling with the heavy bags. I smiled. Actually, Maria can take the afternoon off. I've arranged for butler service for the house. Regina's eyes narrowed. And who, she asked coldly, is paying for that? Oh, don't worry about it, I said lightly. It's taken care of. Their little game. The afternoon played out just as Regina had planned. Jessica was always seated next to Michael, and I was pushed to the side. I noticed Michael didn't do anything to stop it. During dinner on the terrace, Regina turned to me. Sarah, be a dear and check on the air conditioning in the east wing, will you? I set down my wine glass. I can call maintenance. No, she interrupted. You work in hospitality. Surely you know how to handle these little things. Then she turned to Jessica. Why don't you tell Michael more about your father's new development project? I felt my phone buzz, the nightly security report from my resort team. I excused myself. No one but Maria seemed to notice. Through the window, I saw Jessica laughing, touching Michael's arm. He was smiling, enjoying the attention. The security report included footage from the beach house. In the kitchen, earlier that day, Regina and Amanda had been caught on camera. They had spiked my water glass with liquid laxative. How original. I quickly sent a message to my head of security. Proceed with Protocol 17. A reality check. Back at the table, Regina wasn't done. Really, Sarah? I don't know why you insist on wearing that Target dress to dinner. We have standards here. Right, Michael? Michael shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Jessica smirked behind her wine glass. Speaking of standards, Regina continued, I've been thinking, this house really isn't big enough for everyone. I smiled. She had no idea what was coming. Sarah, dear, maybe you'd be more comfortable at a budget hotel than town. This place is getting a bit crowded, Regina said with a fake smile. I turned to my husband, waiting for him to say something, anything to stand up for me. Instead, he just stared at his plate. Honey, Mom has a point. You might be more comfortable somewhere else. Michael mumbled. Before I could respond, the doors to the terrace swung open. John, my head of security, walked in with two officers. "Mrs. Chen," he said formally, "is everything all right?" Regina shot up from her seat, furious. "Who are you? How dare you interrupt our family dinner?" She turned to me. "Sarah, since you work here, take care of this immediately." I smiled, reaching into my purse. I pulled out my master key card and ID badge, holding them up for everyone to see. "Actually, Regina," I said calmly, "I do need to handle this. As the owner and CEO of Sapphire Bay Resorts, I'm afraid I have to inform you that your reservation has been canceled." Silence. Michael dropped his fork. "Owner?" Regina whispered. "Yes," I replied, my voice steady. "Owner of this resort. And the entire chain, 17 properties actually. And since you violated the terms of your stay, like trying to poison me, I have the right to ask you to leave." Amanda gasped. "But you're just a hotel clerk." I shook my head. "That's what you wanted to believe because it suited you. I've owned this resort chain for 12 years. I let you think I was just an employee so I could see the real you, and you showed me exactly who you are." I turned to Michael, who still looked stunned. "I'm disappointed, but not surprised. You'll be hearing from my lawyer about the divorce." Then I faced Jessica, who was now pale. "And as for you, you might want to update your resume. I just bought a controlling share in your father's company. Your position will be eliminated in tomorrow's restructuring." Regina finally found her voice. "You can't do this. We have a contract." I sighed. "The contract you never read? The one that says I can evict guests for misconduct?" I nodded to John. "Please escort them out. Their belongings will be sent to whatever hotel they can find in town." I smirked. "Though I should warn you, I own all the luxury hotels in a 50-mile radius. You might have better luck at the Motel 6. "You lied to us," Regina screeched as security led them away. I shook my head. "No, Regina. I simply let you show me who you really were. You never cared to ask what I actually did. You never showed interest in my life. You were too busy trying to replace me with someone you thought was better." As they were escorted to their cars, Regina yelling, Amanda crying, Jessica desperately making phone calls, I sat back down, took a sip of my wine, and smiled. It was going to be a peaceful vacation after all. A shocking revelation. "Sarah, dear, maybe you'd be more comfortable at a budget hotel in town." "This is a family gathering after all," Regina said with a fake smile. I looked at my husband, Michael, expecting him to stand up for me, but he just stared at his plate. "Honey, Mom has a point. It is getting crowded, and you'd probably be more comfortable elsewhere," he added. Before I could respond, the doors to the terrace swung open. My head of security, John, walked in with two other officers. "Mrs. Chen," he addressed me formally. "Is everything all right?" Regina stood up, furious. "Who are you? How dare you interrupt our dinner? Sarah, since you work here, take care of this immediately." I smiled, reaching into my purse. I pulled out my master key card and ID badge. "Actually, Regina, I do need to handle this. As the owner and CEO of Sapphire Bay Resorts, I'm here to inform you that your reservation has been canceled." The room went silent. Michael dropped his fork. "Owner?" Regina whispered. I nodded calmly. "Yes, I own this resort and the entire chain, all 17 locations. And since you broke several rules, including trying to poison another guest, I'm exercising my right to remove you from the property." But, Amanda stammered. "You're just a hotel clerk." "No, that's just what you chose to believe. I've owned this resort chain for 12 years. I let you treat me like the staff because I wanted to see your true colors. And you showed me." I turned to Michael, who looked at me like a stranger. "Michael, I'm disappointed, but not surprised. You never stood up for me. You'll be hearing from my lawyer about our divorce." Then I faced Jessica. "You should update your resume. I just bought controlling interest in your father's company. Your job will be eliminated in tomorrow's restructuring." Regina gasped. "You can't do this. We have a contract." "The contract you never read? It gives me the right to evict guests for serious violations. John, please escort them out. Their belongings will be sent to whatever hotel they can find in town. Though I should warn you, I own all the luxury properties within 50 miles. Maybe try a Motel 6. You lied to us for years." Regina shrieked as security led them away. "No," I said simply. "I just let you believe what you wanted. A fresh start." Michael hesitated before leaving. Sarah, I didn't know. That's the problem, Michael. You didn't want to know. You were too busy pleasing your mother to stand up for your wife. Good luck with the divorce. Don't worry about a settlement. I already transferred enough to your account to buy a small condo. Maybe your mother will let you stay in her pool house. As their cars disappeared down the private driveway, I turned to Maria, a longtime staff member who had always been kind. Maria, I'd like to promote you to head of housekeeping, full benefits, and triple your current salary. Tears filled her eyes. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. I can't believe you let them treat you that way all these years. I smiled, watching the sunset. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people show who they really are. Now, let's enjoy dinner. No need to waste a good meal. Going viral. 3 days later, a video of the whole scene went viral. Someone from the kitchen staff had recorded Regina's meltdown, capturing her screaming, "But we're family," as security escorted her out. Millions of people watched and social media exploded with the beach house boss lady saga. Even worse for Regina, people dug up her old Facebook posts bragging about treating her family to luxury vacations at my resorts. Now, the truth was out, she had never paid for a thing. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls from Regina, Michael, Amanda, their friends, and country club acquaintances, I blocked them all. The only call I answered was from Jessica's father. Mrs. Chen, he said, keeping his voice steady. We need to discuss the company's new ownership. Yes, we do, I replied, especially your daughter's role in trying to break up my marriage. I'm sure the board would love to see those text messages between her and my mother-in-law, plotting to seduce my husband at a company event. Silence. Now, I continued, about that merger you've been wanting, I'll approve it, under one condition. Jessica is relocated to your Singapore office immediately. That can be arranged. Wonderful. My lawyers will be in touch. Moving on. The divorce went quickly. Michael's lawyer nearly choked when he saw my financial disclosures. Thanks to the prenup, one Regina had called unnecessary. Michael got exactly what we agreed upon. Enough for a modest fresh start, nothing more. Regina tried to control the damage, but it backfired. She gave a tearful interview claiming I had tricked her, but my PR team responded by releasing security footage of her trying to spike my drink. The headlines were brutal. Mother-in-law's poisoning attempt exposed. Amanda tried one last time to make peace. She showed up at my office unannounced. Sarah, please, she begged. Mom's a mess. The country club is freezing her out. She had to step down from her charity board. Can't you make this go away? I looked up from my laptop where I was finalizing the purchase of Vista Del Mar Resort, the same place Regina had been bragging about booking for next year. Make what go away? I asked. The consequences of your actions? The truth about how you treated me? Or just the embarrassment of being exposed? We didn't know who you were, she pleaded. That's exactly the point. You shouldn't have to know someone's net worth to treat them with respect. I turned my laptop screen toward her. By the way, I just bought Vista Del Mar. Your mother might need a new venue for her I'm better than you vacation. A lesson learned. The fallout hit their social circle hard. Regina's so-called friends, the same women who used to laugh at her subtle insults toward me, now whispered about her behind their designer handbags. The irony? They did so while staying at my hotels. Michael tried to reconcile once. He came to my office, wearing the suit he bought for our wedding. I miss you, he said. I was wrong. I should have stood up to them. Yes, I said simply, you should have. But you didn't, not once in 5 years. I didn't know you owned all this. If I had known. I cut him off. That's the problem, Michael. You needed to know I was rich to respect me. It should have been enough that I was your wife. He left with slumped shoulders, finally understanding what he had lost. Not my money, he never had access to that. But my trust, my respect, and any chance of a future together. A new beginning. 6 months later, I hosted a charity gala at my flagship resort, raising millions for scholarships for hospitality workers. Maria, now my head of housekeeping, gave a heartfelt speech about second chances. Regina tried to buy a ticket. Her payment was refunded with a simple note. We reserve the right to refuse service. Business magazines that once dismissed me as lucky now praised my strategic brilliance. A famous journal wanted to feature me in their Women in Leadership issue. Looking back, I told the interviewer, I'm almost grateful for how they treated me. This experience taught me a lot about people, especially how they act when they think they're better than you. I used those lessons to shape my company. Now, every employee, from the top executives to the dishwashers, is treated with the same respect. When the article about my journey went viral, job applications at my resort tripled. I also set a new rule. Anyone who showed arrogance in an interview was immediately disqualified. A year after the beach house incident, I received an invitation to Michael and Jessica's engagement party. Jessica had returned from Singapore, and they had reconnected. The party was at the only luxury hotel in the area that I didn't own. Instead of attending, I sent a gift, a framed copy of the beach house rental agreement with a clause about eviction for bad behavior highlighted. My note read, "Congratulations. I hope your new family treats you better than your last one treated me." I later heard that Regina had sold her beach house, the one she spent years remodeling to impress people. The buyer? My company, through a hidden business name. I turned it into a retreat for hospitality workers who needed a break. Meanwhile, my resorts became known for more than just luxury. We were praised for our strong values, our happy employees, and our strict policies against guests mistreating staff. Maria's daughter was the first recipient of our scholarship program. She got a full ride to Cornell's hotel management program. When Regina's friends started complaining that my policies had ruined their vacation experience, I simply revoked their memberships. 2 years later, while acquiring a small but exclusive country club, I noticed a familiar name. Regina Wallace had a lifetime membership. I remembered all those years she had looked down on me, treating me like I didn't belong. I used her own words against her, sending a letter that stated, "Under new ownership, all memberships are being reviewed. Your presence may make other members uncomfortable." The letter arrived on the same day she received an invitation to Michael and Jessica's wedding, at a budget hotel ballroom. Apparently, Jessica's father's move to Singapore had affected their finances more than expected. I donated Regina's former membership fees to the scholarship fund. The second recipient, Maria's youngest daughter, who dreamed of running her own hotel one day. Now, when I sit in my penthouse office overlooking the ocean, I think back to that last family dinner at the beach house. I remember the shock on their faces when they realized the woman they had dismissed had the real power all along. But I've learned that true power isn't about money or status. It's about knowing your worth, treating people with dignity, and never letting anyone else define you. Regina still drives past the resort sometimes. I've seen her slow down at the gate, staring at the sign with my name on it. I wonder if she finally realizes that her biggest mistake wasn't underestimating my wealth. It was underestimating my worth. That beach house, where everything ended, is now my personal retreat. The only thing I kept from that final dinner? The wine glass Regina tried to poison. It sits in my office as a reminder that success isn't just about making money. It's about keeping your dignity while letting others reveal who they truly are. Last week, I received a letter from Michael. Inside was an invitation to his wedding to Jessica, along with a handwritten note. "I know you won't come, but I wanted you to see what rock bottom looks like. You were right about everything. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." I sent a reply on Sapphire Bay letterhead. "Congratulations. I've booked you the honeymoon suite at our Singapore resort. Consider it my wedding gift, a reminder that class has nothing to do with money. Of course that suite doesn't exist, but I'm sure they'll figure that out when they get there. Some lessons are best learned the hard way."